Hi everyone, Scott Schneider with Stereo Niche. I wanted to do a quick addendum. Someone pointed out that I really didn't talk about the configuration and the details of the Cambridge Soundworks Ensemble compared to the Advent. And so I thought I would add that information here, and not just to this addendum, but to future reviews as well. So thank you for the suggestion. So what I'll point out ongoing and today are basically four things. The MSRP, if I can find it, the impedance for the speaker, the sensitivity, and then the configuration of it. So on the MSRP, the Advent was made in 1978, and they retailed, what I could find is around $240 a pair. If you know if you have a receipt from yours still that when you bought them, please let me know if that's significantly different. The Ensemble was 1988, and then I bought my set in 1989, and they were $499 a pair. So you ordered them online and they shipped them to you. So, a pretty significant difference, in price, but also 10 years in production difference. So moving on to impedance. The Advents are an 8 ohm speaker. They're rated at 8 ohms. And the Ensembles, I don't believe they published this at the time, but they're actually a 6 ohm speaker. So all that means is that you need to be just aware of that. 6 ohms to 8 ohms, not too much of a difference. It's when you get into a 4 ohm speaker that some amplifiers aren't really set up to handle that a 4 ohm load. So that can put more stress on the amplifier. Just a reason to point that out. And let's see, lastly is sensitivity. The Advent is an 89 sensitivity, which is pretty good. It's a pretty sensitive, fairly sensitive. There are much more sensitive speakers. But the Ensemble is actually an 83. I didn't realize it was that low until I actually looked up the details. But I guess I always had plenty of power, so I never really noticed it. So that's the other major difference for them. Now, configuration-wise, the Advent is a two-way. It's a tweeter woofer only, and I'll put the picture in the when I put the two up for comparison. I'll put a picture of that in here just so you can see it. And then on the Ensemble, it is considered a three-way because you have the satellite has the tweeter and the mid-range drivers, and the woofer is separate in the separate woofer box here. So it's a sealed enclosure. This particular model, which is the first model, came with like a Formica cover, hard shell cover on it, and I think they also later came in a vinyl clad. So you may have a different covering on your woofer. If you have two woofers, I believe that was in the Ensemble 1 and the Ensemble 2. Later models, which by the way, to denote that, you should be able to see that on your speaker. It will say Ensemble, and if it is a later model, it will say 2 or 3 or 4, however many series there were. But on later models, I believe it went to a single subwoofer. So you may have two satellites and one subwoofer, and I think those were also ported. So they'll be a little different, but they were still ensembles. Also, what was different at the time, after the Series 2, I believe, the manufacturing did go from the US, I believe, to China at that point as well. So just information for you. I did want to show that when I'm talking about foam surrounds and how they deteriorate, this is exactly what it looks like. The foams become very brittle and they basically just turn to dust. So that needs to be removed and a new fresh foam put on there, which most people can do. It's really not that hard to do. And then once you get that done, they're good to go again for another 15 years or so. And you also may want to repaint them if that's something you'd like to do. So that's it. It was just a quick addendum to that video. I hope you appreciate the detail here. If there's additional information you think I should add, please make some comments and let me know. Give me that feedback, and I appreciate it. So thank you for tuning in.